All right, folks, we are back in the clay swing, and there's a lot of stories going on here. We got Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal back in action for the first time since the Australian Open. So we're going to be eagerly awaiting to see how they're going to be playing. We've got an amazing draw with lots of great matchups at the beginning of it. We're going to see if Medvedev can do anything on clay for the first time in his career. There's lots to get into. Thanks for being here for this episode of The Slice.
I go fair.
Have you been watching The Slice? They're coming at you from the Delray Beach Open. Miami Open down here in the grounds. This is Novak We are here with the man, Milos Raonic. Welcome to The Slice. Boys and girls, thank you for being back here, joining, clicking the subscribe button. Make sure you check out theslicetennis.com. We have regular articles going out there now. We have the shop. You can get the Bagel Time mug. It's making its way around the world. Everyone we have on the podcast, which is also on the website, gets one of these. So thanks for supporting the show. Check out the articles on the website. All the content basically lives there. So we got Monte Carlo. The Monte Carlo Masters, arguably the coolest setting in all of tennis. The clay swing is happening now. Right now we have the ATP Marbella and ATP Cagliari tournaments going on. In Cagliari, we got Jere versus Sonego in the final. And then in Marbella, we got Munar versus Pablo Carreno Busta. A couple clay court hitters to start the swing. But then we're into Monte Carlo. And what are the stories? The big stories, Djokovic and Nadal back in action. Djokovic obviously won the Australian Open. Amazing. Just came through his injury there and played a really tough draw and just fought through. So that's amazing for him. Nadal he had a tough loss to Tsitsipas, obviously, at the Australian Open. Took time off after. Now they're both back at a Masters 1000 after missing Miami. We had the Miami sight into the future. We had Hurkacz beating Sinner in the final. That was amazing. But now we're going to see, are these next-gen players, how do they match up against two of the GOATs in the draw here in Monte Carlo? But it's a Masters 1000. It's not a slam. So the real test, we'll have to wait until the French Open, which has been moved back by 1 week. So again, that's another instance of the French Tennis Federation just like going rogue and going on their own and just be like, yeah, we're going to push this back a month or a week because that's really going to like do a lot for the pandemic, right? It's going to like save people's lives being back a week. But really what it does is kind of screw over Wimbledon and Halle, the tournaments before that, and the grass swing, which is already only like 3 weeks because they're not probably going to move their tournaments. So yeah, just like we saw last year, them making a decision without consulting anyone else, it seems. So I'd love to hear your guys' take on that. But else what we got going on here is we're going to see if Daniil Medvedev had a disappointing loss in Miami when there's a lot of potential for him to win. He's number 2 in the race to Turin, which is where the new ATP Finals is at the end of the year. He's like 40 points behind Djokovic for the year. He has no points to basically defend on the clay. So if he can figure out how to win a match, especially at French Open, but if he can figure out how to do some damage in these tournaments leading up, he can definitely move his ranking a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see the new world number 2, if he can do that on the clay. What do you guys think? Does he have a chance, or is he eternally terrible on clay? Let me know. We got Djokovic from, like I was talking about in the draw. It's an amazing draw. Lots of players there. Obviously no Federer, no team. Those are the big other 2 guys who are missing. But Jannik Sinner, everyone's favorite young guy, can play Djokovic in the second round. So that's not a very easy dip back into the pool for Djokovic. If you ask me, who do you got there? Sinner's been in great form. Djokovic has obviously also been in great form, winning in Australia, but that was like over a month ago. So who do you got in that matchup? And then, yeah, like I said, there's no Dominic Thiem. Apparently, he's been nursing a foot injury. His dad said it's from all the sliding on hard court, which makes sense. He hasn't really looked himself in 2021. He obviously looked great at the ATP Finals in 2020, but he hasn't looked quite his best. So obviously, all concern for him is trying to get back ready for the French Open, trying to win it after being in the finals twice already, or thrice. I think just twice. So he will be no doubt focusing on that. Obviously, he's not ready to come back, which is sad. Federer's obviously not ready to come back either. We don't know much. He keeps his camp pretty tight. Not much to know there, but he's making his comeback, trying to keep his body healthy. I wish he was here playing personally to see him play more matches to get more match fit, but I get it. He's 40. I'm surprised that he's even still playing at all. So I guess you got to count your blessings when you can. Here, though, is a quick look at the potential quarterfinals in Monte Carlo, because this is what we always do. The chances of this turning out like this are always pretty slim. Usually it looks something relative to this. But anyways, we could have Djokovic versus Zverev, which would be a very tough match for both players. Obviously, both great on the clay. Tsitsipas versus Berrettini, that would be amazing to see. Rublev versus Nadal, amazing to see. It seems like a little bit sacrilegious to see Nadal as the number 3 seed at any clay court tournament. Bit ridiculous. And then we got Diego Schwartzman, number 7, versus Daniil Medvedev, if he were to make it to the quarterfinals. It's not a guarantee. It's a pretty big if. So that's a look at the potential Monte Carlo quarterfinals. I want to know what you're most excited for in this clay swing. Is Nadal on lock for a 14th slam, like lose count of what it is, 14th French Open? And what do you think is going to happen? There's a lot of tournaments that leading up to it. There's a lot of points to be had. Who's going to be the winners? Who's going to be the losers? Let me know as always below. Check out the Front Row Show on Patreon. We have lots of exclusive videos. We might get a press pass to Madrid to get behind the scenes there. You can get your questions answered by the pros. It's a note. If you're a Nadal fan, you can tell me to ask him a question, and we'll do it if you're on the Patreon show. Thanks for the support, guys. We will see you next time here on The Slice.